welcome to the Winner Circle podcast with Jay, where we bring you the best insights and strategies on how to be a great entrepreneur and also a great leader. I'm your host, Jay, and today we have a special guest with us. Joining me today is Gédéon Baleke. Gédéon Baleke is an highly accomplished individual hailing from the Democratic Republic of Congo with a background in diplomacy and politics. Gédéon has dedicated his career to making a positive impact in his country and also beyond. As a trained diplomat, he possesses a deep understanding of international relations and has utilized this knowledge to foster positive relationships between the DRC and other nations. In addition to his diplomatic work, Gédéon is a prominent political actor in the DRC. He actively engages in political discourse and strives to contribute to the development and progress of his nation. That is through his involvement in political initiatives. Furthermore, not only political initiatives only, business strategies and all that. So furthermore, Gédéon is a respected business consultant. He leverages his expertise to provide valuable insight and guidance to organizations seeking to strive in the Congolese market. His extensive knowledge of the local business landscape, coupled with strategic thinking, has helped numerous companies navigate the complexities of operating in the DRC. So, when it comes to business in Congo, I would talk about Gédéon Baleke, or business in Africa. All right. So welcome to Gédéon Baleke. How are you doing today, Gédéon?
Hi Jay, I'm doing good. Nice to be here, on the Winner Cycle podcast to talk about the, Congolese narrative into promoting, as well as to, talk on various activities, projects. Just to discuss about the whole investment landscape in general about the DRC.
All right. Thank you so much. It's always great to host you on the show, especially to talk about investing in areas, like the DRC, where it has a media highlight that is saying a lot of bad things happening in Congo. So now the question any investor will have to think about is what makes Congo an attractive investment destination? Despite its challenges, given its history of political instability, conflict, even including the devastating Second Congo War, and a lot of little here and there politics being played out there. Why do you think it's an attractive destination for investment?
Well, the Congo has so much potential in terms of investment. There's a lot that can be easily done in the Congo in terms of investment promotion. The country has so much tremendous potential, from the forestry potential to the mining industry to the human capital and so on and so forth. A lot that can be done. There's a lot that can be conducted in the DRC. The country got tremendous opportunities, to head toward prosperity. Yeah, if everything is put into place to help the Congolese achieve their dreams.
Thank you for that information. So now let's look at this other part. What are the most? Because the question I would have asked if I'm trying to invest there, because I know there's a lot of natural resources and economic potential in the DRC, right? So what are the most lucrative sectors for investment in Congo? What would be your one? What would you suggest? Despite the challenges and regulatory orders that must be navigated to unlock the country's vast wealth. So what industry would you suggest to be the right industry that you might want to invest in when it comes to Congo?
Well, there's a variety of industries where someone can invest in the DRC. Most commonly, people invest in the mining industry, which is more profitable, knowing that the country is endowed with a lot of natural resources. There's another strategic investment venture, such as the agriculture sector, which is not often talked about. People do not invest more often in agriculture. but the Congo has so much potential in terms of agriculture. It has the largest amount of arable land on the African continent, which represent a tremendous opportunity when it comes to investment. So the country has a human capital as well as more than 100 million people, which could represent the labor force when you're looking particularly for workers to work in your company. The country is endowed with hydroelectric power, the largest one actually in the world. We have the Inga Dam, which has the potential to provide electricity to the entire continent of Africa and all Western Europe. Just that's just one particular dam. So there are other several places where strategic hydroelectric power structures could be established across the DRC, where um, we could get electricity from. And that shows a lot that the country is indeed blessed with tremendous opportunities. You can't talk about industrialization without having access to electricity. And when you have a country that could provide so much resources in terms of energy to a continent like Africa, the Congo is a game changer in that sector.
Of course, say no more. I know about that the Congo is actually a very good industry, good country to invest in as an investor. So now let's move a little bit and look at, you mentioned the hydroelectric power potential. So how can investor, I really want you to expand on this. How can investors tap into Congo's vast hydroelectric power potential?
Well, there are several ways, there are several ways that could be used when it comes to investing in the hydroelectric power potential. You could perhaps invest in the small dam structures, into small rivers, because the country is also full of small rivers. The second reserve of pure water is found in the DRC, right after Canada. So there are a lot of rivers across the country. All those rivers represent a source of hydroelectric power, and they could be leveraged, to produce electricity. Without talking about the Inga, which is the biggest one on the Congo River, on the mighty Congo River. Those additional small dam could be established all across the country. And today we talk about the artificial intelligence. In order to train data, you need a lot of energy. You need to build data centers that consume tremendous amount of energy. Where can that energy be found? The DRC. We want to establish the blockchain technology when it comes to Bitcoin. They need to build data centers to facilitate the transaction of the blockchain technology. They need to have structures. Where can the energy be found that can power those energy consuming technologies in the DRC, because it has so much potential in terms of energy. So there is a procedure to invest in the DRC. There's a guide to invest in the DRC, but it's normal just like in any other country. You definitely have to reach to authorities, express your sector of interest, and conduct negotiations, going through legal approval, register your company, and then we have a law of subcontractors in the DRC where whenever you're a foreign company, you need to bring Congolese on board. It's our strategy to create local jobs, but there is also incentives for companies that are coming from outside who wants to invest in the country to allow them to operate at a low level taxation rate if they are helping the country in its strategic ambitions based on the development plan. The Congo is a blessed country in that particular aspect. It will be one of the biggest geostrategic discourse in their upcoming future, because everyone will rely on energy, and the one who will be able to produce the lot of energy will be actually leading the technological race. The Congo again is the middle of a geostrategic game, if I may say so.
All right. Yeah, you said it all. I've seen it with my own eyes. Yeah. So the fact that there's a lot of wealth in the country called Congo, it has a lot of wealth, numerous wealth that has not been heard of. So you spoke about the Lego framework. So now there's a lot of complexities when it comes to legal framework, especially in countries, in African countries. All right. So navigating through who am I, the problem most times is always like, who do I go through? Who is the legal person to go through? What if I go through this person? What if I heard is not the right person to go through? All right. So what people want, I've seen investors that really want to invest, but they really need to understand that, okay, who and how do I navigate the legal and regulatory framework in Congo? So how can investors navigate the proper channel of regulation or regulatory framework in Congo?
Well, that's a great question. It's always challenging, been challenging. Thanks to technology, things are getting easier. We are um, uh, reducing the bureaucracy in the process of registering businesses, in the process of getting the right information, getting in touch with the right department, because it's not about individuals, These are state departments that you have to deal with when it comes to businesses and so on. Yeah, there's a lot of issues that still have to be tackled, but still we are on a good track in terms of our climate of affairs. Um, we've had good development in place, and we hope they will continue on that particular aspect in order to attract, to tap into more foreign direct investments. There's a lot of reform that have been established in terms of zero tolerance to corruption, fighting corruption, reducing harassment when it comes to investors' dishonest way of doing stuff, reducing or annihilating all these shortcuts when it comes to investing in the country. So you have to go through a proper legal procedure, which is easier and which is more favorable and which is more transparent and fair, both for the investor and for the country. So to uh, cut and break the middleman point of view where people have to go through someone to get something, and that's always lead to corruption. And most of the time, some people are even ending up to be coined or to be distorted because they embrace the wrong path to do stuff. Everywhere in the world, wherever you travel, whenever you want to do business, there's a procedure. And I'm really happy to see that they are establishing those structures and mechanisms so that everyone who comes to the country can easily have access on resources online, on the guides to invest and who to get in touch to, and express your interest, write to the states, they respond to you, and you proceed. So it's now easier for investors to conduct the businesses in the DRC. And of course, there is business consultants as well who are facilitating them to embrace the right procedure because Congo has its own laws, which might be different from the laws uh, uh, that the investor practice in his own country. And to navigate those complexities, you need someone who can support you throughout the process, and that's what we are doing as business consultants to guide people so that they can invest properly and tap into that huge market because it's a tremendous profitable and huge market that has not yet been exploited, and people who are afraid to dare and bet in the Congo, they should go and ask the Chinese. They should go and ask the Turkish how they are, closing deals and getting their dividends at the same time supporting the country trajectory toward sustainable developments and ambitions.
Thank you for that information. I've always said, the Chinese, they are really going into the mining industry in Congo. And they have also looked at the infrastructure, infrastructural sector, since the early 2000s. I know about that. and it's been lucrative for them, because it's more like let me use the word virgin land. There's more potential in different industries. So we're going to talk about different industries, all right? So because let's look at the agricultural industry, because I know agriculture, Congo has a very fertile land. So fertile that when you are eating a corn, all right, or for some people they call it maize. So when you're eating a corn, if you drop the corn on the floor, it's gonna grow. It's so fertile and so powerful a land. So even to the extent that if you have a seed, you throw it on the floor, the next morning, well, I don't want to exaggerate, after some weeks, you're seeing something growing from the ground. That's how fertile the land is. So what opportunity exists for agricultural investment in Congo's fertile land?
Well, that's a great sector and industry. Always, we eat, we have feed because we have agriculture. The It's a sector that has been unexploited in the DRC because it's a country that has so much minerals, and the mining industry is an industry that bring in the benefits in a short period, sort of time frame. And most people want to invest in sectors that will bring them dividends as soon as they start investing in the country, because most of them are actually involved in the extractive mining industry. Agriculture is such an unexploited industry, but it's one of the most profitable actually, and one of the greatest sectors someone could invest in, especially in a country like Congo where you barely need fertilizers. Like the soil is a virgin soil where you throw your like, as you said, where you throw a bean on the ground, and the following day it starts growing. So the soil is so fertile, but the sector is still unexploited. And again, it's a sector that has so much potential because you actually have the consumers from the DRC already. So if you invest in agriculture, you don't need to go and look for other markets. You actually have a strong local market. Being able to feed more than 50 million people, it's indeed a lot of revenues. So that's the sector I usually encourage people to tap into. Though most people are not interested in agriculture, I don't know why, but it's the most important sector someone could invest in, and it's actually more profitable than any mining industry operation, because people eat every day, but people don't buy gold every day, people don't buy silver every day, and so on and so forth. So it's the most profitable industry, and I always encourage people to bet on agriculture. And there are people that are really enthusiastic about it. They're trying to venture into it, and we really encourage them to do so, because agriculture is definitely the you know the sector that everyone has to bet on.
Yes, thank you so much for that information. Agriculture is a very powerful industry. I don't know why people don't put their mind to it. So if you are thinking about investment and you have agriculture and you don't understand that this is you can actually empower the a very fertile land like Congo land, you can empower, and it's a virgin land. So you do the regular documentation, start the labor is not that expensive, all right? So there's no room for exploitation, of which I'm against, all right? So it's like it's not that expensive. The same amount you're going to spend, dealing with local farmers in the US, might not be the same thing you're going to spend in Congo, all right? But you can build different industries, different markets. You can start growing. I don't know the local food there, but you can start growing all those maybe yams or all this and be exporting. This is a multi-billion-dollar market itself. All right. So in Africa itself, talk less of be expanding it around and all that. So I would, if I would wanna, I would say the agricultural industry is a very very good industry that any potential investor should think about and actually consider, right? So and that's that for that. So let's move forward. Let's talk about a little bit about the tourism. Not so much have I heard people traveling to Congo. I know a lot of people travel to Rwanda, the neighboring countries, and probably Kenya. So not enough. So let's talk about the tourism industry. So how can an investor tap into the Congo's tourism potential?
That's another one of the most untapped sector in the DRC. The tourism. It's a billion-dollar industry as well in the Congo due to our biodiversity. Remember, Congo hosts the second largest forest in the world, the Amazon. It's actually the length of the world. We capture all the dioxide carbon that are emitted in the world within the Congo forest. So we have national parks that hold animals that can only be found in the DRC, such as the mountain gorillas. We have the okapi. We have the white zebras and so on. The bonobo. Those are some of the animals you can only find in the DRC. But the sector is still unexploited. The country has been a victim of massive insecurity throughout the years, and that has created massive problems in terms of country marketing. When a country is painted as an unstable country, it creates a whole problem in terms of narrative and in terms of tourist attraction, because tourists always travel to places where they know there is safety first, and where it's easier for them to explore without facing any threat. Of course, the Congolese government has to invest massively on its soft power. Um, they have, of course, to tackle the security issue, which is not actually everywhere, but it's affecting the eastern part of the DRC, where we have a park like the Kauzi Biega, the Virunga National Park. It's an amazing national park where you find gorillas that you can't find somewhere else. And that's a great tourist location, but due to the insecurity, tourists don't travel there anymore. It's an unexploited sector in the DRC, but which presents huge opportunities, tremendous opportunities, that if we tap into them, the tourism sector itself could drive the Congolese development process, to show you how that country is blessed. So it's blessed in all forms of aspect, but yet still we are unable to join everything together and put the country toward its line of progress. But I'm pretty sure we will reach there. It's a journey. The first step is when people understand the opportunity the country represents. When they start to having another view on it and start working differently, pushing boundaries. When people are being driven by the conviction that, of course, it's possible to redefine the future of this country, and we can do it if we decide to do things quite differently, and that's what is happening. And I'm pretty sure they will be able to the government. I mean, they'll be able to put in place measures. They will be able to put in place policies that will make all these sectors to take off. Yeah, the tourism industry is indeed another great sector in the DRC with tremendous potential that could generate billions and billions. So an investor who want to build resorts, who want to invest in the environmental protection, who wants to visit the untapped places in the Congo forest, who want to see the beauty of that great land, it's important for them to just jump into the opportunity and make their way to Congo. They will be impressed and amazed by the wonders of the nature there.
All right. Thank you so much for that view. Make their way to Congo and they'll see like there's another greatness coming, just like the Wakanda movie,
Yeah,
where we have the untapped market of the African continent. So now we talk about tourism. For my own take on tourism, I think they can start if you're an investor, and if an investor is interested in that field, you can take it a step at a time. Probably start from Kinshasa, which is the capital city of Congo. From Kinshasa, you invest in probably things that do with the tourism in Kinshasa. I know the Eastern Congo, right, has a lot of insecurities, right?
Yeah,
Is that Eastern?
the whole Eastern Congo actually,
Yeah,
it's notably three provinces: the North Kivu province, the South Kivu province, and some parts of the Ituri province. But since
yeah,
the three provinces, they are strategic provinces because they have so much resources in terms of gold, copper, cobalt, even resources in terms of tourism potential. Those provinces hold some of the largest and the oldest national park in the Congo. Those provinces, they were called before the in French, the grenier of the Congo, which means those provinces are able to produce foods that can sustain the entire country, those three provinces, because their soil is so fertile. Those provinces are located on volcanic lands, which give them the most fertile soil than other places in the Congo. And that's why when most people talk about the DRC, they mainly talk about the war in the DRC. It's just affecting three provinces, but those three provinces are strategic provinces for the development of the country. Of course, we have other places in the country where you could do agriculture, where you could invest in forestry, where you could invest in tourism, such as the Katanga region. You go to Maniema, Kasai, and in Congo you find almost everything. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so my take is, as an investor, sometimes we talk about risk assessment. So I would say sometimes you want to go find out yourself. So just because there's a conflict, probably insecurity up north, does not mean places like Kinshasa, which is the capital city, is not good,
Mm.
right? So we take the context of the probably if we're going to talk about different countries, just like a few days ago, northern Israel was bombarded, all right, by was bombarded, which is bad, right? So, but if you move a little bit back, if you move a little bit to the other part of Israel, I don't think there's any insecurity there. So what am I trying to say is, sometimes we don't want to say, okay, just because this particular area has one or two issues, all right, it means the whole country is bad. I know the media paints it so bad. So the whole of Congo is worse. You cannot invest in, we need to, because what made me come up with this, and I say, okay, the best person to call to reach out to is you to invite you on the show, is because I felt like, okay, this is the richest country in Africa, not by economic GDP and all that. When it comes to mineral resources, the iPhone, the back of the iPhone. The iPhone stuff is getting from there. All
Yeah.
right. Is gotten from the Congo. All right. Many things are gotten from there. Mineral resources, even the atomic bomb, if I'm right, was made from
Yeah.
resources from the
The
Congo.
America was the Second World War
Yeah.
because the uranium that they used to manufacture the it's called the Manhattan atomic
The
bomb.
Manhattan Project. Yeah,
The
I think
Manhattan,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the uranium they use, they brought it from Belgium, and it was exploited by Belgians from the Kinkolobo mines in the Katanga region, which again says a lot about the strategic role the Congo has played throughout history. In other words, the American could have never achieved the development of an atomic bomb and enrich it without the minerals of the Congo. It's the same thing with the Industrial Revolution. If we had vehicles, cars, we could have never achieved that building tires without the Congo. They used to cut people's hands just to exploit what they used to call caoutchouc. You know, I don't know how they term it in English. It's a component that's it's taken from the trees to help manufacture the tires of cars. So it was exploited again in the 1885, 1884 from the Congo by Leopold II. And that was being taken to Germany, to the UK, and that's led the Industrial Revolution because it was strategic for manufacturers of cars and engines and so on and so forth. So Congo played another critical role during that period. And right now we are talking about the transition toward the green economy. Congo plays again a critical role in this particular aspect. Why? Because we have the largest reserve of pure cobalt, which is an important component that helps country to manufacture. That help company to manufacture electric vehicles. Chinese electric vehicles are being powered from minerals that are coming from the DRC. The same thing, if you look at the supply chain, Apple, Tesla, everyone, he's outsourcing minerals out of the Congo. And it says that Congo plays a critical role as well in this transition. But what are the people of the Congo gaining? The second thing is our forest. Our forest is the most preserved forest, actually, because they are actually destroying the Amazon. It's the most preserved forest, which help the planet today to maintain the current atmosphere and the current status of climate. We absorb more CO2 in our forest more than any other forest, more even than the Amazon, which means we play a critical role to the life of every human being in the face of the world. That's why everyone should support the Congolese because we are actually a country at the convergence of everything happening right now, and we've always been at the center of all the convergence and geopolitical interest. At the same time, we are there to help humanity, and humanity should thank Congolese by helping them back. By helping them back because we play this critical role. So the country is so blessed with tremendous opportunities, and people
No.
have to be aware of all this.
All right. So thank you for that analysis. You spoke about automotive industry and all that. So now let's take a look about the transportation industry or transportation infrastructure in Congo. What is the current state of the transportation infrastructure in Congo, and how can investor invest in that industry to improve it?
Well, there is a huge opportunity again in terms of mobility. If you are an investor, you want to invest in road construction, go in the DRC. You will find a favorable contract that will help you, take back your return on investment with a huge profit, and will also support the Congolese mobility within their country. Frankly, we have our road network is still underdeveloped. We have challenges in terms of connectivity and so on. So every investment in transportation in the DRC is a great investment that will be highly welcome in the country, and the investors will definitely reap a lot of benefit out of it in terms of railroad and so on. Those are the type of investments the Congolese government has as priorities. And if there's anyone who wants to do or to invest in such sectors, it's highly welcome. And when we talk about infrastructure, it's not just road. We also talk about internet infrastructure. Really important. You have
We will come to that. We will come to the internet part. Yeah, because it's another whatever that I want us to push into, especially the technological part. So
the
let's just roll up with the
road.
transportation, and yes.
Transportation is a key investment venture in the DRC in terms of road, railway, even airports. You could open your airline within the country. You will have no competition, and that's a lot of money. Don't be afraid to invest.
But how many people, sorry please, how many airports do we have in the Congo? Because if you want to open an airline now, you want to know how many airports do we have. Is it only
we,
Kinshasa, or is there
we have
regional?
we have 4 international airports, and others are regional small airports. Most of them are not in an appropriate condition, but it represents an opportunity because you have people there who wants to travel. So if there is structures that allow them to travel, and they will be able to pay for the service, and there's other ways the government could provide incentive to a company that is supporting its mission in the transportation industry, because it's a key priority for the government to achieve the full mobility of Congolese within their own country.
All right, thank you so much for that information. Now you understand, because transportation, like when we take a look at the fact that, okay, just imagine investing in airport building, all right, or you have a talk with the government and really have airports, or probably you have a plane. You have plane, you just do like regional areas in the Congo, you know, because there's not much. That's why I said that the Congo is like the virgin land. It has so much resources, but it's still a virgin land. It has vast land mass. So you can be flying from this point A to point B and you're making your money. All right, as an investor, there are quite a number of things to do. This is one country that I've looked at and it's like, this country is rich. When you mean rich, rich for investors, all right, to be able to invest. So it's very, very important. So the next step, I told you not to, that we're going to talk about it, is the technological industry, all right, because that particular technology, Congo has one of the largest populations when it comes to youth. All right. So technology is when it comes to Francophone Africa, I think Congo has one of the highest people. All
Mhm.
right. So when we look at that number, we look at, okay, the technological sector is in Congo. All right. Just look about mobile networks. What about the internet? What about the, internet connectivity or probably setting up a SIM card, or maybe a communication network or whatever the thing is. So the question I want to ask you, because you know better than this, because you are like in this industry, you know how these things, you've helped a lot of businesses set up in the Congo. So how can as an investor, how can they, you know, navigate through the emerging technological sector of Congo? And what's the current state itself? I want to know the state before we talk about
Well,
the
the internet penetration is relatively low due to lack of infrastructure. Internet works with access to energy at the same time. There's not, there's no a huge penetration of internet connectivity within the Congo. Actually, not earlier than today, I was having a conversation with someone to see how we can leverage the Starlink technology of Elon Musk and try to provide internet access through satellite in most remote places, especially rural areas. That can be a game changer, even in the education sector for kids studying in those remote places. Internet connectivity is indeed one of the biggest challenges because you can talk about liberalization or the introduction of technology, the age of numeric in the country. If you don't invest in internet connectivity, people have to be connected, and with low penetration, it's a challenge, but it represents as well a tremendous opportunity. Look, in terms of business, you have a market of more than 120 million people. If you have at least 60 million customers, that's a lot already. That's a lot in terms of revenue and so on and so forth. Again, there's another opportunity in terms of fintech as well. Fintech, they operate with technology, they operate with internet. If you create a way people could move their money easily and they have access to internet to do so, online banking is the future. That's another opportunity people can tap into when it comes to the DRC to facilitate the mobility of money by leveraging the access to internet. That's the way forward. We don't have any other way to go because we can talk about technological advancements without leveraging the internet aspect. That's the key. That's the first precondition. People have to have access to internet, and when people are connected, there's all new sectors that are created from that dynamism, especially the creativity industry. Uh, we also have a strong soft power, if leveraged, could produce a lot of revenues internally as well with our culture, our music that transcend even our borders. And imagine the unexploited markets of that industry in the country due to lack of connectivity. That's another that's another industry that could bring about a lot of revenues and a lot of benefit for any person who aims to invest in the DRC in that particular domain. So investing in technology is a win in the Congo, a big win.
All right, thank you for that very vital information. Because investment in internet is quite important. The internet came, to Nigeria. When I mean the networks, they really didn't have that so much, especially in Nigeria. One of the richest man in Africa, you know, invested in network, internet. When it comes to that SIM card network, mobile phones, network, giving them reception, going to the local areas. In less than 5, 6 years, they were able to achieve all of this. And we have over 250 million people or 230 million people connected to the internet and phones. Right now in Congo, they have 120 people, 120 million people. Just imagine if somebody just took that bold step and invest in that particular industry.
Mm.
The rest is going to be history. So
Yeah.
you talk about online banking. So let's quickly delve into the financial sector. So how can investors participate in the growth of the financial sector in Congo? How can they just participate in that financial industry?
Well, is to offer appropriate solution. Here is a country that most people live in the remote places. How do you connect them to these new technologies? I believe
Sorry, quick question. Sorry to cut you. I just needed to understand a part of it because I know like Kenya has what they call M-Pesa.
Mhm.
So do they have something like M-Pesa in Congo?
Yes, we do have something like M-Pesa, which was incorporated. Of course, it was borrowed from Kenyan, inspired from Kenyan Pesa. It's incorporated into a national network such as Airtel, Vodacom. They have what they call Vodacom M-Pesa. They have what they call Airtel Money, Orange Money, and so on. Those networks, they have their own way of moving money across the country. That's a great move. It's something good which allows people actually to move money across the country. But there's still an opportunity for more innovation because their tariffs sometimes they might be unfair. And if there is a fintech that is willing to look at the picture differently and tap into the market with different approach, there is indeed huge opportunities in that particular in the fintech and in the online banking. There is a huge opportunity for any investor who might be interested with that particular domain because there is M-Pesa in Kenya, but still there are other platforms that are trying to compete with M-Pesa, and they are definitely doing well. And M-Pesa was solely designed for money transaction before being incorporated into Safaricom, which is a local network. But it was solely designed for transaction of a movement of money, and that's why it continues to be progressive and to innovate rapidly compared to other network we have in the DRC. So it's a huge opportunity. It's a huge opportunity to invest in the fintech, and there's a huge market. Whenever you travel the remote place, you see the demand, you see the need of it. You see the challenge, the problem, which represent an opportunity, of course, to invest into and to reap benefit out of.
Thank you so much. As we're about to round up, so one of the things I always tell investors is due diligence is very, very important in as a business person or as an investor. So for you as a business consultant, especially when it comes to Africa as a whole, you're one of the top consultants when it comes to people investing in Africa. From Nairobi, Kenya, and other countries. So, what are the key considerations for investors when it comes to due diligence in the Congo?
Well, of course, most people usually ask that question. I usually say that the investment landscape in America, Europe, is not the same compared to Africa. So whenever you are entering into the African continent or you are entering in a particular country in Africa or in the Congo, you have to navigate differently, and that's what people have to know. There is a different dynamism with different realities, different complexities. Whenever you explain this international regulatory way of doing business, you will never do it and you'll never achieve it. So the other thing, you have to be a risk takers and you have to be a problem solver. The stage at which the country, the Congo has, the stage at which the Congo is right now, and the problem the country has, uh, demand people who are willing to be problem solvers. Like we need to achieve certain stuff like industrialization, rapid industrialization, transformation of goods and services, and so on. So whenever you are an investor, you have to be driven by that sentiment of transforming lives as well as you are gaining your dividend, your return on investment. And that's what should be driving most investors. And you have to know that you are entering into a new terrain which you have to navigate differently under its own complexity. The other thing is reach out to experts, people who are willing to guide you through the process, because it's possible. And people who have dared to do so, they are reaping out the benefits. It's not just about, barriers and so on, but there's also ways of doing stuff and opportunities of doing them, of implementing them. Of course, with regard and in the due respect of the law of the country, the regulations in place, the holistic process. You have the rightfulness of doing stuff and so on and so forth. So we make sure things happen in the smoothest way, but in a complete different dynamism. Investing there is not as if you are investing in America. We are not regulated with the same laws, and we do not conduct businesses in the same way.
All right. So as we round up, what advice do you have for investors who are trying to navigate through, the complexities of investing in Africa and the Congo?
Well, the first advice is don't listen to the media, what the medias are portraying out there. Like if you see what the media is portraying, you take your information from CNN, from BBC, and so on. You will be misled immediately. Go and see, go travel, go and visit the city of Nairobi. You will be amazed by the dynamism there. Go and visit Kinshasa. You will be amazed by the dynamism and the optimism you will find when it comes to investment opportunities. Just there to visit. Don't come as an investor first. If you are afraid, come as a visitor, explore opportunities, and you will not doubt to put your investment in that region or in that country. Don't just follow what the news is saying, because these are countries that have a long way to go in terms of promoting their soft power. They don't have international media under their pocket to promote their narrative and so on and so forth. That plays at the disadvantage of these countries. Of course, they have tremendous problems. They have their own challenges. They have their own failures. But still, there is a light of optimism in the middle of all that. And everyone who is driven by this transformative mindset, everyone who is driven by the need to make change and positive impact in the society should follow that small light while trying to, of course, reap the benefit of the investment someone could invest in the Congo. And they are welcome to invest in the Congo. We are more than welcome them to bet on the DRC, and they will never regret it, because the DRC is the country of the future.
All right. Thank you so much for that information. And for people that are looking to invest in the Congo, the DRC Congo, you heard from the open door to the investment in DRC Congo. He knows the landscape. You can always check up on him on LinkedIn, Gédéon Baleke, and he's on different platforms. If you want to reach out to him, you can just put his name on Google. He can give you a guide if you ever consider investing in DRC Congo. So there are a lot of attractive investment opportunities, from the vast natural resources. We are talking about the minerals, the timber, even the agriculture. Just like you said, you talk about, the land that is very fertile. Also, one thing about the Congo is the strategic location in Africa, which is the Central Africa. So you investing in Congo, it's easier for you to spread your wings around from the north to the west, you can always ship. You can even service the other African countries around, around the region, right? So another part again is they have a growing population, especially they have a consumer market. So it's not a, they don't really have a lot of production as much, but they have a consumer market. They are ready to buy. So this is one thing you should need to understand, that whatever you bring into Congo is ready. They need, you know, they need those market. They're a consumer market. So that's one thing you need to focus on. All right. So another thing is, so if you're looking at, okay, how best can I invest in this industry? Just like he has told you, you can partner with local mining companies to understand how you want to go into, if you want to go into the mine, or you can even invest in the mining infrastructures and even the technology to mine better. Instead of we having children, going into the deep mining others, so you can bring in very good infrastructure and technology, and you can mine and, get the right license, and it can take you through everywhere and every how you're gonna do it. It's because you want to make sure you ensure responsible and sustainable mining practice, because you just don't want kids putting their hand into, of which a whole lot of miners in Congo are doing right now. So if you do yours better, with the right technology, guess what? You'll be celebrated for that. All right. So if you ask me, what are the lucrative sectors? From my research, when it comes to the mining, we are talking about the copper, we are talking about the cobalt, we're talking about the diamonds, and we're talking about gold. These are like the industry that are very lucrative. So when we go into the timber and agriculture, so when we talk about timber and agriculture, we're not just talking about ordinary. We're talking about coffee. The coffee you see there, they have one of the best coffee,
The best
especially, yes,
in the world.
yes, they have cocoa, they have palm oil. So for Africans, they understand what palm oil is. This is something they have. So when we talk about the energy industry, we're talking about the hydroelectric electric part. We talk about the oil and gas. This is a country that is blessed. That's why I say they are the richest. All right. So if you ever think about what you want to do in infrastructural development, you have the transportation. Just like probably if you want to go into the airlines, if you want to go into even the local, you know, right here in the US, we have the Greyhound bus. So if you want to do something like that, it's something you can do.
The
And
real,
you can, yes,
the
the
real
real estate is also good. Yes. The logistics business, like shipping from one region to the other. All right. So if you look at, again, you can look at the construction business. It has vast land. So there's a lot of construction to do. So these are the things you need to follow, to focus on. You can read more, or you can reach out to Gédéon Baleke, through his platform, and you hear about it. Just Google his name, and I'm sure definitely you see one or two things to follow up. All right. So, and you can also share his media reach so that you can reach out to him, and probably you can do a follow up, especially if you really want to understand the conversation, especially about this industry. So it is very important to put your hand into this if you really want to do it. I've said, so if you are thinking of investing in transportation networks, we're talking about the road, the port, the airports, the energy, the supply infrastructure, the ICT, there's a lot to do. All right. So as we end up today, we want to thank our guests for showing up. All right. We want to say thank you for sharing your insights and all the expertise you have in investing in Congo. I'm sure our listeners will cop one or two things from it, and they'll follow up with it. So and for all our listeners, I want to say thank you for tuning in into today's episode of the Winner's Circle podcast. And as we round up, one or hacks, Gideon Baleke, kindly share how they can reach you in a few seconds, so we can round up.
They could reach me easily on LinkedIn, just Gédéon Baleke. You will see my name, DM me, and I'll be more than happy to have a conversation with anyone who is interested.
All right, guys. Thank you for being here. Once again, thank you for educating us about the wealth that can be generated in Congo. So don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring conversation and tips for success. And have a nice day, guys. Make sure you follow, subscribe, and like. Have a nice day, guys.
This is the same building of Yearbook Circle.